Welcome to Real to the T, where the real gets realer, the tea gets hotter, and the motivation hits harder than your favorite espresso martini. Hosted by Amanda Rupley, top 1% realtor, best-selling author, speaker, and founder of Aspire Realty Group. This show is your VIP pass to the chaos, comedy, and candid truth behind real estate, pop culture, and life as a boss mom building an empire. From wild closings to headline-sparking hot takes, and that final sprinkle of inspiration you didn't know you needed, nothing's filtered and nothing's off limits. So buckle up. It's time for Real to the T.
Have you ever had someone look at you and say, I see something bigger for you? Someone who can see the ending before the story even starts? That's who today's guest is for me. She saw Aspire before it was even a thought. She saw me behind this mic. She even called out the New York Times Square billboard in her own way before I believed any of this could be real. And now we are closing out season 1 by taking it all the way back to the beginning. You'll recall in that first episode with my bestie Meg, we referenced a very good friend. So welcome back, you guys, to Real to the T, the show where real estate gets real, pop culture gets messy, and we don't gatekeep the good stuff. I'm Amanda, your brutally honest bestie behind the mic, but this podcast is not just about real estate. It's about real life. If it's on my mind, it's on the mic. So Elaina is our friend that we talked about in episode 1 with Meg. She isn't just our friend, she is our intuitive. She's the woman who spoke life into this dream before I even knew it was going to be mine. She saw Aspire, she saw this podcast, and she especially saw Derek, Mike, Meg, and I forming our chosen family. And she's been right every step of the way. If you've ever wondered how much of this has been strategy and how much of it has been soul, you're about to find out. Elaina, you're here.
I'm here. I'm so excited to be here.
This is so exciting. I mean, really, though, from the very beginning, it has been, I mean, you have been a part of this from the start, really, even when I didn't want you to be. I mean, I was super resistant, when Meg first called me to tell me that you had said that I was coming into her readings, and I was like, what? What does that mean? I don't understand, you know? And then I thought that she, was a little cuckoo a little bit. And then she came back around and she was like, so I have another message for you. And I'm like, I don't want these messages.
I know. But they kept coming through. Like I had no choice but to deliver exactly those messages at the time. So
yeah, but you know what? They had gotten me a session with you. And I didn't want to be rude. And so I agreed to do it. Do you remember that first session?
I do. I remember, I can still feel a lot of the feelings I had. And, I definitely would say there was resistance. You were just protective of yourself, stoic. And, but I welcome that. I don't think my role here is to just deliver messages and trust that spirit is working through me to deliver messages for the client. So, but it was a really transformative session, I will say. And I was really excited to meet this woman that I kept connecting with in Meg and Mike's readings the whole time. I'm like, who is this woman, this blonde lady? Yeah.
It's just so funny now because one, it feels like it was so long ago, and it really wasn't that long ago. It was only a couple of years. But two, I just recall, first off, I had chills like crazy, but I also didn't want to give you anything. You know what I mean? That's why I was like, and you're so cute because you always be like, does this make sense to you? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Do you remember? I was like, I don't know, like arms crossed, like I'm too cool, too cool for school. Yeah. But you really saw everything from the beginning, but also you really provided such a safe place to allow me to come to terms with this and your gifts in my own way. You were so lovely, and the fact that you weren't forceful in any way. You're just so loving and so nurturing and so kind, and I really appreciated that. So I'm very curious. We have to go back from the very beginning.
Yes.
How did you first know that you were gifted?
Oh, that's a question. Well, looking back, I think that my intuition and my gifts have always been with me. I would say if without even knowing it, I would say it went back all the way to first grade.
Wow, really?
Oh yes. My sisters will even tell you, my mom will tell you, I was extremely afraid of the dark, not in a way that most kids are, but this was different. I would walk in my room and I would feel energy, and I could not stand to be alone in my room
Mm,
upstairs. Embarrassing at the time. I was so embarrassed to say, but I was still trying to climb into my parents' room because I felt protected and safe.
sure.
Just lots of things like that. I was born in Guam, so we had a jungle in our backyard, and my sisters who are very intuitive, just like me, all three of us would go in the jungle and we would feel energy. We still talk about it to this day, and there's so many things. So I would say first grade to me was the earliest of when things started to happen. And then it would peek throughout my life. But it's been evolving since I was really little. I mean, every
Wow.
house we've lived in, I guess would say had energy in it. And I thought it was the home, but now I understand it was my energy. It was what was
Mhm.
around me. So it goes way back, I could say, in first grade.
You know, you're I also love the fact because I think a lot of people, whenever they think of intuitives, think of like, what's her Long Island Medium,
Oh,
is that her
Teresa
name?
Caputo. Uh-huh.
Oh my god,
Yes.
she's
Yeah.
hilarious, by
I
the way.
love her.
You know,
Yes.
or even, like, the little kid on Sixth Sense.
Right. Right. Yes.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Where really a lot of it, as you've shared with me, is
Mhm.
feelings and
Mhm.
just, like, point words that come to you or, like you texted Meg and I the other day specifically about podcasts in the
Mhm.
studio and kind of, you were like, "I just really feel like I'm supposed to tell you this right now."
Mhm.
What is that like? I mean, how do you know when it's something for you or when it's something for somebody else?
Oh, that's such a great question. Um, I think how I know it's for somebody else is I will be in my everyday life. For instance, that moment that I was texting you and Meg, that's a great
Mhm.
example. I literally was doing my makeup and I had what's called an interjection. Spirit interjected and flashed a vision for me. And I was like, almost like I quickly can see it. And that's when I heard you have to, and then I received almost this voice, this inner knowing to text you guys and tell you. I felt right then and there, like it's a feeling afterwards. So sometimes it's a vision first and then it's a feeling. If it's my stuff, it will be directly in my gut. It will be this inner gut feeling.
Mhm.
And then I will hear kind of an internal voice like, don't go there, don't do this, don't ask them to, like, just so it's different. So when it's for someone else, it's like a vision, it's like a quick flash of a movie, and then I'll go from there. So it's the only way I can explain it. And everyone is so different.
Yeah.
Everyone receives it differently. So,
It's really interesting too cuz so your job, your profession
mhm,
actually is that you are an intuitive and life coach. And so this is professionally what you do
correct.
also. Okay. And you have a lot of clients.
I do. Yes. It's been building over all of these years, slowly, organically, and that's exactly how I want it. I don't want it to be
Mhm.
too fast. Too I know that
Mhm.
sounds crazy. Most people would want it to be the other way around. I want to slowly be in this process of it to really receive the most aligned clients that are going to match my energy and my work. So
Mhm.
yeah,
It's a lot of energy, and,
it
you and I
is.
have often spoken, in sessions that I've had, where I felt because you've shared that I'm intuitive,
Mhm. Very much
and
so.
I am definitely, noticing that more, and I'm
Mhm.
hearing it and listening in more,
Mhm.
but I always feel the need to ask you, first off, how are you? How has your sessions been this week? Are you able to release that energy? And I thought it was so profound how you told me you're really, really good about because it is a lot of energy on you.
Mhm.
And so
Correct.
then when you complete a session, what is it that you do to help release that energy to where you're not carrying it on with you? Specifically when you have, maybe more heavier messages that come across or, things like that.
Yeah. So, I'm in my office right now. It's so interesting you're bringing this up because last night at my spirit circle, someone had asked me if they could help me break down my circle. And I said, thank you, but it's actually my own ritual and a process of me closing down the circle and the energy. So what I tend to do with readings, and I receive really heavy readings. And I feel like over the last 2 years, my readings have become heavier with my clients. I'm dealing with a lot of people who have lost children, have had, really unfortunate experiences in their life, past really intense trauma. So what I tend to do is, dependent upon the client and the reading, Spirit will lead me to say, okay, you need to, like when I start shutting down my cards, I start cleansing the space. And then when I put my cards away, I'm almost thinking about the session itself, kind of letting it out, letting it go. If it's a really heavy client, I will almost take one of my selenite wands and cleanse my body. I will use my sprays. I might use my bells to really get the frequency of the old energy out of me. And then once I shut down my office and I turn off my light, the minute I walk out that door, it's a threshold. So the minute I walk from my door down to my car, it's another secondary ritual where it's a second phase where I then walk out of my space. And by the time I get to my car, I allow myself to know that all of my energy has been released. The minute I get in my car, it doesn't go home. And I have worked with my spirit team to allow a lot of protection to come in. They don't get to cross that line. Now, sometimes, my husband's a fireman also and a paramedic. So both between him and I, we will bring home certain energy. And I'm constantly cleansing my space and myself, because there are certain moments where I've had certain clients that will not leave me and their loved ones for days. And it's impact.
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
So then do you feel them, or do you see them, or a little bit of both?
Both. I will.
Okay.
Sometimes I will receive a visitation in my dreams. Sometimes I will just feel the energy in my home. Sometimes I will feel personally like my energy's impacted. For example, just about 2 weeks ago, I had somebody that just was really going through something, and she was really devastated, and there was a lot of grief around her reading. And I could feel like my energy was almost being impacted. I started to feel off and down. And so I knew then that I tried everything to shake it off, and I realized, okay, this is not mine.
Yeah.
So I really need to do a deeper cleanse. So sometimes that can happen.
Do you take hot baths and drink
my
wine
gosh.
also? That's how I feel like I release my real estate energy.
Me too. We
Yeah.
can talk about baths forever. That is a whole ritual in itself. I love wine, but I don't really drink a lot. I really don't. I really drink once in a blue with my friends, but I don't really feel as called to drink. I think it's because the amount of energy work that I do. I don't also have to be careful. If I drink and I have clients next day, I want to make sure I arrive fully present with my clients.
Right.
So, yeah.
That is so, man, you're giving me all the feels, Elaina, always, always. Okay, so let's go. I'm very curious. Actually,
Okay.
I'll save this for later on in the episode. Let's go back to when I was coming into Meg's reading. What was that like? I mean, does that often happen for you, where other
yeah.
people come into readings and you're like, hey, who could this person be?
Yes, 100%. And it doesn't happen all the time. But if it does, I know so for instance, like yours, your team was doing everything in their power to get your attention, and whatever they were doing was not working. So they were like, how are we going to get in? And they knew.
And by team what is that reference?
So,
what does that mean?
yeah. So it's your spirit team, right? We all have, every one of us has a master guide. We have a master spirit guide who's been with us prior to incarnating into this human experience, will be with us all the way through to the very end. And then we have additional spirit guides that are assisting. And so sometimes it's also ancestral energy, which means loved ones that have crossed over. So somebody from your team really was trying to get your attention. And I kept feeling like, you were not, again, I feel like you were a bit closed off.
Definitely.
And right. And they knew Meg was going to come in and have this reading with me, who was, again, through Zoom. And I just kept seeing this blonde lady, and I'm like, who is this blonde lady? And it wouldn't matter. I was trying to only read Meg's energy, but what was interesting is that I kept feeling like this woman, this blonde lady, was going to impact Meg's life, not just hers, but her whole family. And that's all I kept hearing.
So wild. I mean, not like just to hear it. I mean, I obviously know how the whole story plays out clearly. But yeah, just to hear that, because what most people don't know is Meg and I didn't really know each other very well at that point. I mean, we had really just met. We were very new friends. They were only my clients. You know, we hadn't even gone and had dinner yet together. The four of us. And so it was really funny and interesting that you would see this, but also how you got through to me was you had given her a message to give to me that nobody knew. So I was working on that very big land deal that you and I have talked about since, and I was not feeling right about it. It did not sit well with my soul. I didn't really like the client that I was representing. I felt like maybe there was a misalignment when it comes to integrity and morals, but also it was a, $54 million transaction that we were knee deep into. And the second message that she called me with was a voice note. And she was like, I know that this is not your thing, but I am supposed to tell you this. She says to trust your gut and to get off the land. She doesn't like the land. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because nobody knew behind closed doors. I was only talking to Derek about my feelings about this and walking away from this transaction, but also my business partners were like, I mean, that's a big deal. Like, I mean, it was the largest deal in my career, you know what I mean? And so I felt this responsibility to see it through. But yeah, you definitely were the one that broke down that barrier with that message for sure.
It was I can still remember what I saw. And I don't know if I've ever shared this with you. It was so interesting because I saw this, again, the blonde lady. I didn't know who you were then. It was so interesting because when you came in initially with Meg on her reading, it was like, the only way I can explain it, it's like you're off in the distance and you were coming closer. And then another reading happened, and then it kept feeling like she was getting closer, like meaning there was an impact, like there was an importance of this woman coming in. But that reading specifically, I saw land. I saw this land. I saw someone standing on the land, and the land gave me this energy that just the only way, this is going to sound crazy, but when I'm on land, if I'm in someone's home or I do a home cleanse, I have a specific energy or a guide that comes in, and the guide for me is Native American. And when it's a very protector for me, it's a huge protector for me. And so when I was on that land with you, I could see as almost like we were together. I saw my Native American guide, which means I was feeling protective. And when I saw
that makes so much sense. Yeah.
I was like, whoa, there's something about this land. And I heard get off. That's all I heard, 2 words, get off.
I just have chills. Yeah.
Yeah. And I heard that you were being impacted. Like it was really impacting you, and you were so I could see you going back and forth, like a marble back and forth. And that's when I said to Meg, tell her to trust herself. She knows what to do.
She said, trust your gut, that you're very intuitive and very gifted, and you don't realize how gifted you are, but that you need to be listening to your intuition.
Yes.
And sure enough, I wound up releasing that client. I walked away from over $100 million worth of real estate deals, but it was the best decision because I had to protect my peace and my space, and my integrity is so important to me that I never want to sell my soul for $1. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You were so spot on with that. But then in my reading, you were like, Amanda, you don't understand. Like your journey is big. I just see your name in big bright lights. And I was like, what are you talking about? And you were like, you just kept saying it. You're like, your name in big bright lights. And so then when the dream came to me, the idea of doing the Aspire launch, which you knew about this transition coming and the struggle that I was having and, trying to find the right time to tell my business besties and, really just struggling with that decision because I didn't want to let them down. You
Right.
knew how long. I mean, this was what, a 5-6 month transition that I
Yes.
was kind of quietly battling before I ever said anything
Mm-hmm.
about it. But then the dream came to me to launch it in Times Square. And I remember how much I was struggling. Meg and I, talked about that in episode 1, just about like, oh gosh, now it's really going to be real. I'm going to put it out there. How is it going to be received? And immediately you texted me and you were like, this is it. This is what I saw. This
Yeah.
is amazing. Yeah. And it was, you were just so lovely as always. You're always so lovely. But
Thank
just
you.
the fact that because I hadn't put 2 and 2 together at that point either. And I think
Right.
you didn't really put 2 and 2 together until
No.
that moment. And we were both like, this is the vision of what you saw.
That's right. Yeah.
It's so cool.
It
You're so
was
cool.
Oh, thank you.
I
You're
have
so
cool
cool
friends.
too. It was the craziest thing though. I just kept seeing like this light. And it was your name. And then there was so much light around it, but it makes sense because in Times Square, there is so much light going around. So it just felt, it's so interesting because when I'm doing those type of readings and when I see you at the time, I didn't understand what that is, but I have to trust myself. I had to trust that there is a vision that I'm getting. And if I keep getting it, if I try to deny it in a reading and it comes back around like 5 minutes later or 10 minutes later, that's how I know it's confirmed that it's either this is the message I have to give. I have to give it to you. So yeah, that was wild.
You've since won over my husband, as you know, who
I love your husband.
He does not have a poker face at all. And it's so funny, too, because he is so quiet and so reserved. But I feel like with you, he's not at all. He is very open and he's very big and he's like laughing and he's crying. And he's like, when I would be stoic and I'm like, I'm not going to give you anything. Like, I want you to, I want to see where you're going to go with this. And he'd be like, yeah, that, everything. Yes, I know exactly who she's talking about.
Oh.
I think he gets more involved into it than I do, probably even.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
It is so fun. Derek has such great energy. And I think, there's an interesting thing. I love connecting with both of you and him. Both of you have such amazing, easy energy to work with, despite even our first time meeting. And I know you were like a bit guarded. But once you break that and once people come into your lives, once you guys really, because you guys, the thing about you and Derek is you guys give such beautiful energy to people all the time. But rightfully so, you have to protect yourselves. So when someone comes into your world, you guys make people feel so welcomed. And I think that's what's so easy about working with you and Derek. The energy is so reciprocated. It's so easy to work with. It makes my readings so easy. It's so easy to work with you guys.
Well, we often lose track of time. And so we have to like put an actual pause because I feel like we could just keep talking to you forever. But also, is it common for you? Do you do a lot of readings with couples?
It's not as common. I've had several, but it can be hard sometimes because I'm getting so much information from both energies of their teams. And so I'm trying to figure out who it's for. Sometimes what will happen is I can tap into feelings with one of the people, with one of the partners, and I'm not quite sure if I'm even allowed to talk about it. And so it will become almost I always say this in readings, like spirit won't let it go. So if I have that, it's hard for me to move and redirect the energy to another topic. So I try really hard not to have couples readings because, I want my reading to be a very safe space. Well, and it's always, even with the couples, but for someone to really dive in so deep into their safe space and really like dive in and talk about their feelings, talk about their blocks, talk about the challenges. But when you have two people and someone may be energetically holding information and the other person doesn't know, it can get a little bit interesting for me. I'm like, oof, goodness gracious, Spirit, why are you doing this to me?
You literally know, all the things hidden in the closet.
Most of it, yes.
Yeah.
It depends on the person. So I will ask them, are we okay to talk about everything? If they say yes, I'm like, all right, here we go.
You're like, here we go.
Yeah.
I feel like we're pretty open. Derek and I have always been pretty open about, we've talked really deep stuff, and then we've talked about like not deep stuff, and I
Right.
think that that's cool about one of the things that you had said, because I think there's a big misconception, in my opinion, for the intuitive space, because as somebody who has grown up Christian and and very much am a believer, we are raised that this is like a dark aspect,
Correct.
that it's evil and it's dark, and you were very quick to be like, I just want you to understand everything that I do comes from love and light.
Correct.
And I was like,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
So, and you've really opened my eyes to a lot, because also as a Christian, why should we be so judgmental for people that are gifted? You know what I mean?
Correct.
And if you have been blessed with those gifts to provide, you know, uh, amazing feelings. I mean, I've had my grandmother come in to my readings. I've had my dad, which, has been a really hard place for me, and the way that we lost him,
Correct.
and the trauma that comes from that. And so what a beautiful gift that you have so thank you for that, for sharing it with
Oh,
me, number one.
absolutely.
But two, I feel like I owe you an apology for the fact that I did judge
No.
it right at the beginning, because, I was just very resistant and very reserved and cut off. But you really have opened my eyes to a lot of it. And I feel like it's because of the work that we've done together, it's really opened up my heart to be able to be, what's the word I'm looking for? I've always been kind, don't get me wrong, but I think I'm more patient and
Yes.
understanding to be able to hear people versus being quick to react. And, you have a different perspective when
Right.
things like this, are kind of now at the forefront. And I'm like, I always think to myself, I'm like, what would Elaina say about this before I do?
You're so cute.
You know what I mean? Derek will be like, should we call a session with Elaina before we do anything? Dylan going to college. Should we take a session with Elaina? I'm like, maybe we should.
I love that so much. Yeah, I love this topic. I grew up Buddhist, and so I was the kid that was so curious about going to church. Everyone around me, I grew up in a very Catholic, Christian-based community. Here I am, half Asian, Buddhist, and no one else is in my town. And so, I had read something somewhere, when God is really working with you and your purpose, you're going to feel alone. And you're going to have to go through a lot of personal struggles to understand how to build your protection, your shield, your strength, because your purpose is going to impact people. I didn't understand that back then. I think I had to really, my faith was really tested. And early on, I was the kid that begged my friends if I can go to church with them. My friends were like, I don't even want to go to church. And my mom really at the time, being Buddhist, was not really into allowing me to go, but I still went. And I walked in and I felt at home. I felt at home. I felt at home with God. I felt at home with, whether it was the Catholic churches, and interesting enough, I'm very connected to. But I just would ask God back then. I asked and asked, like, if I'm supposed to be so connected to you, why did you give me an upbringing that didn't allow me to be Christian, that didn't allow me to go to church? And I understand now it was all part of the process, that it wasn't just about going to Catholic church. It wasn't just about going to a Christian church. It wasn't about being Buddhist. It was that God is in all things. And
I love that.
And I really understand that now, that I don't have to go to church. But don't get me wrong, I think going to church is great for people. And I think that when I go, I can feel connected. But for some people who don't go to church, God is still with you. God is in you. God is everywhere. And so going back to a comment you made about this work, people viewing it as dark, I am fully aware and fully accept and embrace where people are at. I have had to work with a lot of people who are skeptical, people who see my work, who are scared of my work. I welcome it. I'm not here to persuade anyone that this is the right way, this is the way to go, that you should believe in what I believe in. I know my relationship with God. I have a direct relationship with God, and I think everyone does. And it's something I had to really build over time. My faith had to be built over time. I got baptized at 13 years old behind my parents' back. My sister was old enough to help me get baptized. I wanted to be baptized so bad. And so I do believe in Jesus. I do believe in God. I do believe in a lot of the energy of some of the belief systems. So, but there is also this understanding that, like I said, God is in everything. And so I don't know. I just welcome the questions. I welcome what people are at because I don't ever want anyone to feel they are being judged by me. This is not about me. My job is to help you connect with God, with you to connect with Spirit, to know that there is support, there is divine guidance, and we're always being guided.
I have chills, Elaina. I could literally just talk to you all day. You just make me you make me feel so inspired because I just love that you are so unapologetically you, but you're also just very real and tangible and authentic and honest.
Thank you.
And it's so lovely to see.
Thank
And
you.
I know that we haven't known each other a very long time, but also I feel so connected to you. And I know we've talked about that too. It's really interesting. I think I've probably only had maybe 6 readings with you over the years.
Yeah.
But it's like this deep connection from the very beginning, and also probably a lot of admiration, to be honest, because I do feel as if because you came into my life, thank you, Meg, when you're watching this episode.
Yes, thank you, Meg.
It definitely allowed me to step into the purpose that I was supposed to fulfill. I'm not certain that had I not gotten those messages, I don't know if I ever would have, to be honest, because really stuck in that place of not wanting to upset or hurt anybody, but also limiting myself and what I knew I needed to do for our family, but also for myself.
Correct.
I've got a big vision. I always have, but I'm guilty of diminishing my own light to appease others. And you've really helped me kind of see that, I have to stop that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also the relationships. So I'm very curious about how you saw what we call the repeatas. So Mike, Meg, Derek, and myself, how you saw the 4 of us forming this family that we've now created.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm trying to go back to Meg's readings because, there's been so many readings since then. I think it started with Meg. Like I said, I saw this blonde coming in and, Meg was like, well, who is she? And I'm like, I don't know. She's like, well, the only person I can think of is this woman named Amanda, and I just met her. and then when I had a reading with Mike, it was so interesting with Mike. His reading felt different. His was something to do with, again, you came in with him, but there was something about like it changing his life with his personal decision with his career. There was something like you were going to help him do something. I kept seeing almost in the background, like him working with you helping train him. It was this evolved energy. And then over time, the 4 of you, I could see all of you coming together like a team. It's this family unit, and it was this bond and this strength. And it was almost like you guys have always, it's so weird, like known each other.
That's
Does this make sense?
Absolutely. That's definitely how it feels. And what a lot of people didn't know is that Meg and I were actually having conversations behind the scenes on Mike being really miserable in his job.
Correct.
And like, well, I wonder if he could ever get into real estate. But she's like, but I can't like tell him that because, he won't hear me. You know what I mean? And then you said it. And then I, of course, started saying it because that was sort of at the same time I was starting to transition out of my previous team and starting the Aspire team. And
Mm-hmm.
he was the first one. I mean, he jumped ship and got his license, and he was the first one to really trust me to
Yeah.
take this journey on too. And now he's just, I mean, look, I think he's got like 6 or 7 leases that he's happening right now. He just closed a purchase. We've got a listing appointment today, this afternoon. Like,
Oh my
he's doing
gosh.
amazing. It's really cool to see.
I knew, like, just talking about this, I remember being in a reading with Mike. And even, I think it was even with Meg. And I said, Amanda is going to take care of you, like, take care of him. Like, if anyone, and I remember saying this, I think it was to him, I said, like, you don't have to worry. Like, Amanda is going to be like that person who's going to lead him, like, to take care of him. Like, you can fully trust her. That's what I kept telling Meg. You can trust Meg 1,000%. And I didn't know you at the time. I just kept feeling this energy. Like, this woman is no joke. She is the hardest worker. I felt that in your energy. I felt like you were someone who, if you didn't know the answer, you were going to figure it out. And you were not afraid to step into that leadership position, which now looking back in our readings, I was saying to you, you can trust your gut because spirit is not going to lead you somewhere that's not where you're not supposed to be. And even if in the moment it felt hard to say goodbye to those old relationships and that old version of yourself at work, you had to step forward because it was going to come at you in every possible angle. Right. Whether or not, I'm telling you, and I know you said, well, if we didn't have this reading, I don't know, I really know, I think you would have done it no matter what.
Really?
I'm telling you, 100%.
I just felt really stuck, because again, knowing my son was going to graduate, right? Wanting to be able to form this for my family so I can take it with us wherever we go. But also, those people are so important to me.
Right.
They're my best friends, my sisters. And so that was really, really difficult, not wanting to let them down. And then what happened? It was like not even a big deal, and I totally made it much bigger than it was in my head. You know what I mean? And now they're cheering me on and high-fiving me in the hallways, and you know what I mean? Just
I
like
love that.
always. We just don't get to see each other as much as we used to. But it didn't change anything.
Right.
So it's really interesting, the stories we tell ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been saying this, like, our mind and a story, it will become like a movie, and it will create all this false truth, and it will stop us in our tracks, and we will begin to believe it more than our intuition. And that is why anyone that's listening, if they're stuck or they're struggling with something, they don't know which decision to make, I know deep down inside, everybody knows their truth, what they want to do. That it's almost easier to believe the false truth because that distraction and that doubt is our comfort zone sometimes. We're afraid to take that first step, right? It's scary to take that first step. But you're right. We make it bigger than it is. And then when we finally do it, we're like, really? That was
That
it?
was like not even a thing. Yeah,
no
for
big deal.
sure.
Yeah.
So when you go to the grocery store or anything, do you ever just get these random like visions or messages for people?
Yes. Yes.
And do you act on it? Like, do you stop people?
No.
What is that like? If
Yeah.
you're just walking through the store and like you just, what is that like?
So what will tend to happen, it's interesting, I'm like touching my AirPods right now because I will sometimes put my AirPods in. It's almost like a shield for me when I go to a store because there's so much revolving door energy, right? It's coming in and out. I will put on sometimes a podcast or music that keeps me kind of like cocooned in. But there are times where I will be by somebody and I will either get really bad energy and I'm like, woof, like walk away.
You're like, I'm going to go to a different line.
Yes. Oh, no joke. I 100% intuitively, I will pick the line I want to be in because I'm stuck there. I will pick the person that's checking out. I'm like, I don't know if I'm vibing with their energy. Everything is, I can't help it. It's all so intuitive. And sometimes it could be too much. I don't want to be intuitive sometimes. I'm like, I just want to have a human experience. And I can turn it off. Don't get me wrong. But there's sometimes I can't. And there's sometimes I do feel some people's energy. And sometimes I won't say anything, but I'll say, how are you doing today? And I will just ask certain questions and like just talk and just maybe help switch energy for them. They won't even know I'm doing it.
Wow.
You know.
So how does that I'm very curious. Do
Mhm.
you read your husband often?
I do.
Does he know that you're reading him often?
Oh, yes, all the time. It's what's so interesting with my husband, though, is I've allowed a boundary to be there. I
Nice.
allow him to say to me, you know, hey, I'm kind of working through this. And he won't ever ask me for a reading. He will never ask me for a reading. I will just say, do you want my honest opinion? And he'll say, well, you're going to give it to me anyways. And I will tell him, I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should, step into that position. I don't think you should, and then sometimes I will read people around him and I'm like, don't trust this person. I had a recent situation with him. I think it was 2 years ago. He's a fireman and I had met somebody in his circle and I was like, oh no, I don't want you around this person at all. I don't like his energy like at all. And sure enough, something I said came to truth. And it's kind of like stuff like that, So it's interesting, but I try to let him, I respect where he's at. He didn't ask to marry somebody that my intuition didn't really amplify until really after we were married and after I had my first kid. So
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. There is a lot that comes with that. There's a whole storyline with my first child. But so I really respect, like, if he doesn't want to know, he doesn't have to know. If he wants to know, he'll let me know. He's a very humble, quiet person, though, too. So I let him kind of choose of when he wants to come and ask me some questions. So.
Wow. And what about your kids? Do
Oh,
they?
yeah.
So they can't get anything past mom, right? Because mom can see when they're sneaking the phone after curfew. Or
Yes. I had an incident actually is so interesting. My youngest son, who is he's clairvoyant, so he can see stuff. He can see spirit. He's been like this since he was little. And we have a lot of personal stories. My husband became a believer because of some situations that happened in our home with my youngest son and our kids. So my kids are very intuitive, but my youngest is clairvoyant. But interesting enough, recently we were at the movies, my husband, my oldest son, and me. My youngest son did not go. And I was at the movies, and I felt the most uneasiest feeling in that theater. I kept checking my back. I kept checking, like, every person that came around the corner. Like, I was like, oh my God. Like, it was a fight, flight, survival, like, feeling, and I could not understand what was happening. I thought maybe we should leave. I was, like, literally about to go leave the movie. I was about to tell my husband, we need to go. It was something like that. And I kept looking at the time, and it was like 8 o'clock. So from 8 o'clock to 8:30, the feeling kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I kept checking my phone and I kept looking for my youngest son. It's something going on. I was trying to check in with him. There was something. And little did we know, when we came home, my youngest son was having a personal incident happen. And at the time, between 8 to 8:30, something was going on with him. And he later on told me. And so I now know.
So you knew it.
I knew it. And I thought it was someone in the theater, but no, it was my mom energy, the cord connected to my child, where I just knew something was so wrong and something was so off. And sure enough, luckily, my son was okay.
I have
but
chills.
Something did kind of happen that was sketchy. And
Sure.
Oh, man. And now, if that
you don't ignore that feeling.
Never. Yeah. Never. Yeah, I never. I don't think I've ever had it like that. That was something so different. It really jarred me for a moment there, and I thought,
sure,
yeah, that was a lot.
Even now, I can see it like coming across when you're just having to relive that moment. I mean, I have chills too. What is the So again, what you do is difficult because of moments like that, right? What is one of the funniest moments that you've had as far as a message or a vision that you've received?
Okay. I talk about this a lot. Not a lot, but it's not even really funny. It's kind of maybe it's a little bit. It spooked my client out so bad she never came back.
Oh,
and it
okay.
spooked me. I had a client, and it was over a year ago, and it's in this office. So she's sitting across from me, and before she came in, I saw a vision of a woman sitting by a bay window, and she was really just depressed and so sad. And I knew there was a loss of some kind. So she came in, the client comes in, and before I even laid one card down, I said, "Did you lose? Is there a woman that you lost?" And she said, "Yes, I lost my sister." And I said, "Okay, I'm going to tell you a vision I had." And I said, there was a bay window and she's looking out and she's depressed. She goes, "You just described my sister's room that she was in. She had cancer and she died." And then the first card I put down was an older woman. I said, "Oh my gosh." I said, "Did you lose a mother?" She goes, "I just lost my mom." So this is how it starts off. Okay, so this is already how it starts off. So this is the backstory. So we're going along and I'm reading her cards. This one freaked me out. This is like a freak out moment. I don't really have a lot of funny readings. This one freaked me out for a while.
Okay.
So I pulled 2 cards and I said, "I don't know why I feel like there's a move. You're going to move, or there's somewhere you're going to move." She goes, "Yes, we're considering moving." And I said, "But there's this gentleman that's coming in, and I feel like there's some conflict or resistance there between you and this guy." She goes, "That's my brother-in-law who lives," I think she said Ireland, I think it's Ireland or Scotland. I cannot remember. I think it might have been Scotland, actually, now I think about it. And I said, "Okay." I said, "But I'm telling you, you guys are going to move. Like, you're going to move there." She goes, "We are really considering moving there. That's so weird." So we're going along with the reading, and I am not exaggerating. Okay, so my phone is always off. My phone is always off. It's on airplane mode, but I will set my alarm to go off 5 minutes before my hour is up with the client. And I've done readings for so long. You know how intuitively you know when your time's about up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I took my phone. It was face down. I turned it over. In that exact moment, it had an incoming call from like Ireland or Scotland. No exaggeration. I know nobody there. Nobody. And I looked at her and I said, "Oh, I'm getting a phone call from like, I don't know what, Ireland or something." She goes,
wherever she was looking. Yeah.
Yeah. And she goes, I go, "Oh my God, do you want me to answer?" She goes, "Answer it." I answered it and I put it on speaker and it was static.
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay, listen to this. It was static. And I was like, "Oh my God." And I hung up. I was like, "Oh my God." I've never had that happen before. Then she said, "Oh my gosh, can you look to see where that call was coming in from the city? The town it was coming in?" Because it will tell you, like, it was no joke, the town that they were going to move to, where her brother-in-law lived.
So was this supposed to be a good thing or a bad thing for her?
It was not a negative thing. I did not feel scared from it. It just spooked me because I never have had such a strong, again, I'm going to use the word interjection. That's the one way I say it, where spirit really is trying to get a clear message across that this was a confirmation she was going to move.
She's supposed to be moved. Yeah.
That's right.
So she was so freaked out she didn't come back?
She did not come back.
Did she say like, "Oh my gosh, that was really cool," or "Thank you so much"?
No.
Or
She got up and I remember she was like, I don't even know what to, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to think. And I will be honest with you, Amanda, I remember sitting there going, I don't even know what to say to her. I don't, because I know she was scared, but I also have never experienced that. And I was trying to reassure her, I promise you, that was your team really working to make that. She goes, do you know someone? And I mean, do you know someone in that country? I said, I
so
don't know.
maybe she thought you were a fraud?
I don't
or
know.
Something like that.
I
You
have
were setting
no
it up.
idea.
Oh my gosh.
But even if, let's just go there.
Yeah.
How would I have someone call in?
Right.
I didn't even know her.
You didn't know anything about her.
I knew nothing about her.
Right.
I do what's called cold readings. I don't know anything about anybody, and I prefer it. I even tell people, if you're going to refer somebody, tell them that. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know who this person is. I don't want to know anything. So there's no way I can make that phone call incoming.
That's crazy.
So that might have been my kind of a little bit funny, spooky moment.
Yeah.
Never. I still to this day, that one might be my number one craziest, spiritual, spookiest moment. And I was like, wow, spirit. Okay. And I think after that, I was like, okay, we don't need to go there with my clients. We don't want to freak them out like that.
You're like, let's rein it in a little bit.
Right. Correct.
Backtrack.
Yes.
That is so funny. Well, I love the fact that you do the cold readings, because I do think that was so impactful for my experience. Obviously, not giving you any background whatsoever,
right?
And it just makes it even more impactful and special. And it's really fun too to watch you whenever you get these visions, because people don't, they don't know you yet, right? And so you get really animated and you get so excited. And then you'll be like, I'm sorry, hold on. I just have to figure out what this means. And you keep going, and you kind of go through this whole process. And then there's even been times where you're like, I just have to write it down. And you'll draw a picture, and you're like, okay, let me show you this picture. Do you know what this means? And I'm like, I don't know yet. And you're like, well, we're going to work through it together. And so then I feed off of your energy on top of it, because you just get so excited. It's really cute to watch you so passionate about this gift that you've been given, and being able to receive it and also give it, to others. Because when you start to see how it all clicks together, and you'll always say it comes back full circle. You'll start a session and you'll have a vision, but you don't really know where it's going yet. And then somehow something will click, and we'll be back at the end of the session, and it has tied the whole thing together.
That's right.
It's really cool.
You've nailed it. 100%, Amanda. Man, you have such an amazing memory. It is a full circle. I actually just told a client that the other day. I always try to tell people, bear with me in the very beginning, because I will get so much information. It's almost the only way I can describe it is getting 1,000 puzzle piece, a puzzle that's 1,000 pieces.
Yeah.
And spirit dumps it in front of me and says, all right, there you go, figure it out.
But also, we're not going to give you the edges or the corners to work with. You just
and by the way, we might give you some other people that are around them. So I'm not just feeling your energy. I might be feeling someone else's energy, like I felt with Amanda or with you going into Meg's reading. So it's so interesting, but I also love it. It is fun because I love to also watch, your experience of watching you have it. Even in the first reading, when I knew you were guarded, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to give her an inch.
I'm not giving anything.
Nothing, stoic. I love that, because what I want to have happen, I do want you to have an impact. It's not about me. My intention through the reason for the cold readings and the intention behind it is truly to let you know that we are working with spirit. We are working with God. I only work with the highest light, love, and truth energy. And it's a very protective session. They're very protective, sacred sessions. I want you to have the impact to know that spirit really is trying to convey these messages, and it's going to bring up your past, things I don't know, things that are happening in your world, talking about people around you. So I want you to walk away feeling that spiritual, aligned, connected energy to God. And from there, we've cracked you open. We've allowed that light to come in, and we're activating your intuition. We're awakening it, which you always had, and specifically for you, who is very intuitive. And like you said, it's kind of cracking you open and really letting you lean and trust in your faith again. And it's really going to be an impact for you, specifically, Amanda, with your career. Your intuition is going to be one of your best things you could ever work with for your career specifically. It's going to help you make decisions that I don't think anyone else is going to be able to really help you with. You're going to have to make blind decisions based on faith and intuition.
I definitely have leaned into that a lot this year.
Mm-hmm.
And most recently, over the last few weeks and kind of figuring out, more pivotal moments because we're always pivoting, it's like that scene on Friends, pivot,
That's the best scene.
I love that scene. But it's always like that. It's always pivoting and trying things and failing and trying again and succeeding and failing and succeeding and failing and failing and failing and then succeeding. You know what I mean? But it's always this pivotal thing. So with that, as we kind of before, I want everybody to be able to find you first off online because you do such a great job on your social media also. I love the fact when you'll be like, I just feel like I'm supposed to give this message to somebody and I don't know who it's supposed to go to, but I'm going to say it right now. And I'm like, that was for me. Although you probably have like 100 other people that are also like, that was for me, but I want people to be able to find you online.
Oh, thank you.
Where can they find you on social?
Yeah, so I think my main social media platform that I've been really, I'm really on the most is Instagram. So my handle is at Coach Elaina K, and that's Coach ELAINAK. I'm there. I'm on TikTok also, but Instagram really
I
is.
don't love TikTok.
I
I'm trying
know.
so hard to master it, and it is not my favorite at all. But I also understand it's like all the rage, and I'm trying really hard, Elaina.
Yeah,
I'm trying really hard.
It's interesting, sometimes certain platforms, and that's interesting, platforms have their own energy. So if you're not connecting to TikTok, also listen to that, I try to be on there, but you'll know what you vibe with the most. And Instagram is like my go-to. So there's that. And if people want to really kind of get free guidance or see me in action or see what I'm up to, Instagram is really where it's at. If you want to see all the services I offer, kind of learn about me, my website, which is elainak.com. You can go on there. So yeah, there's so much information. I try to give as much free guidance as I can because I want people to connect with my energy because there are a million people out there who do my work. I want you to find who fits right for you. So that's the most important thing. It's the same in
real estate. I tell everybody the same thing. I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's
Correct.
totally fine.
Right.
I don't want anyone in an unhappy marriage. I'm a lot. I know I'm a lot, and that's okay. You know what I mean? But also, I'm going to give you a lot,
Yeah.
And because it's so much energy, I mean, what we do also is a lot of energy work too, right?
Correct.
I am so blessed to have really made a point to choose who I also work with. And in real estate, most people are all about chasing that transaction because that's how they feed their families, And I have just learned that anytime I don't trust my gut and I've worked with a client, I know you know one of the stories because we've talked about it, when I've taken on a client and did not listen to my intuition about it, it winds up being an absolute shit show every time.
100.
You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, I could talk about that for an hour. 100%. And sometimes like the old story of me of the compassion of like, oh, just work with them. I have to also realize if I'm getting a hunch to not work with somebody, it's not because it's anything to do with them. It's that maybe sometimes they're not as open. And there's a difference between skeptical and being not open. There's a complete difference because if someone's skeptical, that's just a protective layer of energy just around them. That's okay. But if someone's totally not open, they're coming in with a different intention in that reading. I've had clients try to test me and I'm like, oh, we're not going there. I've actually told clients, this isn't going to work out. I'm refunding all of your money. I don't mind about that. I don't care about the money. I can't energetically. I can't do it. I can't do it. So yeah, I understand that.
Well, I have a serious question for you now.
Yes.
What lotto numbers should I play on Saturday?
Oh God.
Can you just ask my spirit team real quick?
You know what I will say about that is I always do I'll tell you what I do. And it hasn't worked obviously because but I will say when you go, it's with anything, go with numbers that feel like, I always say start with 1 and go all the way up and count and see which one stands out. See what numbers stand out. Get a hunch about that. Even with those final, what are the Powerball numbers at the very bottom? There's some, I always say, go with your gut. Listen, go through every single number and see which ones stand out. And then go from there, simplify them. So that's my
when
suggestion.
I win on Saturday, I'll make sure I give you a finder's fee. Speaking of finder's fee, what? Just out of curiosity, now that we've been on this session, is there anything that has come across for you regarding this session here, or regarding this podcast episode?
You mean just energetically and just kind of what's coming up? Well, it's interesting because before you were, I do want to say something. Right when you were saying you feel like you're a lot of energy, I do have to comment on that, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
I will. So this is a message for you. I just heard you're supposed to be a lot. There's certain people that are supposed to have a lot of energy because of the work they're going to do and the impact they're going to be making. And I've always said this about you, the impact and how big you're going to, I have always said I could see how big things are going to be for you. Your energy is supposed to be big to attract in energy either similar to you to also make a deeper impact in the work you're doing, or to call people in who are ready to step into their power. The thing with you, Amanda, is that you are in a very strong leadership position. And I think that that's why, Spirit has really helped you with your intuition. I feel like you've always been intuitive. I think that you're just starting to really tap into it now. But your big, impactful energy is going to take you down a path and a road that I don't even know that you understand you're going down. I think that there's something so much bigger you haven't even tapped into at all. And so it's yes.
Such as a very successful podcast studio company.
I've already said this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to claim it right here. I just in this experience with this podcast, it feels, I've been on podcasts before and they're all have been amazing, but this one feels so different. And, it's just not only just so professional, but it's your energy and the intention that you have brought in the vision prior to launching it. So that's a message for anybody. If you want to launch something, really get clear about your intention prior to launching. Get grounded in what is the intention, what is your vision, who are your people, get into it. What does the background look like? Where is the space at? You're so intentional with everything that you do. And because of that clarity, your energy and the abundance is so easily attracted and coming at you. So bravo to you and kudos to the work you're doing behind the scenes with that foundation work, with that spiritual work, with that intuition work. And so this podcast, it's going to go. I already told you that. It's going to go big. But even just your work in general, that's something else. I'm excited to see where you're going to go and the impact your team's going to make, the impact you're going to make as a leader. So I love watching
Elaina.
your work.
You make me cry. You always make me cry. No, I feel very blessed. And we were talking before we started recording about mentors and different things that mentors have said. And, over time, you have one and I've had one also. And my favorite statement that just is always at the forefront, my mantra, is birds of a feather flock together, and also you are only as good as the people that you help. Right. And so with that intention, I am so blessed and so grateful with the people that I have, around me. It is really amazing how I can rely on them, how they lift me up, they cheer me on. I have such an amazing support system. I'm very, very grateful, but also you're part of that. And
Thank you.
I'm just truly honored and grateful. And I do want to shout out Joe too, because the reason we look as professional as we do is Joe, our in studio producer, is
Oh,
incredible. I mean, he's
yeah.
been an absolute godsend. Joe, there you go. Shout out to you. Anybody that wants to get started, I mean, he has been just such a blessing to us in this business and figuring it all out, and also me improving my own podcast.
Hmm.
This is the first live stream that we've, or online stream that we've done, outside of when I had Robert, our CEO from Compass, on. And even still, that one, we were still trying to figure it out. This one,
Hmm.
it feels like you're right in the room with me. So that's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that so much. And it also means that we just have to have you back. Maybe we could,
Anytime.
I'll hire a session on your website, and we'll just do like a live stream session for everybody that's watching. Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, how fun would that be?
That
I
would
would
be so fun.
love it.
We could have like a
Yes.
chat for people to ask questions or something.
Yes.
We should do
100%.
that. We
I
should
love
definitely
that
do
kind
that.
of stuff. You just let me
Okay.
know.
I
Yeah.
love it. Elaina, thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
And I want to just shout out your website also, because you have such an amazing story on there. And I love that your newsletters, whenever you send them out, they're so sweet and just, always bless my day. And so I definitely encourage anybody to go check you out at www.elainak.com.
Thank you.
That's right?
Yep.
Elainak.
Mhm.
Yes. .com. And of course, we will make sure everybody follows you on social. You guys, open your mind, open your heart, open your spirit. Apparently, we all have spirit teams that are cheering us
Yes.
on too. And, Elena's been such a huge integral part to that for both my husband and I and our journey, by way of Meg. So shout out to my bestie right there too.
Yes. Shout out to
Um,
Meg.
Yes, we will definitely have you back, Elaina. Thank you. This was the perfect way to end the season, and as we head into the holiday season, just to kind of rest and reset. Of course, we will be back for season 2. But can you believe this is episode 10?
I can't.
Wild.
It's crazy.
I
It's
know.
crazy.
So
I love
crazy.
it. Thank you for having me on. It's such an honor always to be here to work with you. I just so appreciate it. It's the fastest hour of my life. I could talk to you for hours.
Me too. I know.
Yes.
I always feel the same way. Well, everyone that's listening, if you love this episode, and of course you love to hear what Elaina had to say, if it sparked something in you, if it helped you to kind of, get a little bit more curious, or maybe you're like, oh my gosh, I wonder if that, that gut feeling actually meant something, definitely go check her out. As I said, we'll make sure that we tag her here too, so you guys can easily find her on social. But definitely also subscribe, because we've got a lot to cover in season 2 upcoming. We're going to dig even deeper into some fun topics. Y'all know that I love to talk about these alien congressional hearings lately. I'm like, you want to see my TikTok? We talked about TikTok. If you open my TikTok, it's like all alien conspiracy stuff.
I
But you
love
open my
it.
Instagram, it's like all golden doodle videos. You know what I mean? So every platform definitely is different, but we'll get into that for sure, you guys. And of course, if you love this one, share it with somebody, leave a review. But remember, y'all, real talk, real tea, real stories, unapologetically told, because you can't make magic in beige lighting. They wanted tea, but you gave them bubbles because you're champagne friend. So until next time, y'all catch up on season 1, episodes 1 through 9. Stay fabulous, stay fearless, and always spill it like it is.
That's a wrap on this episode of Real to the Tea, where we served the real, spilled the tea, and left you with that motivational magic on top. If you laughed, gasped, or shouted same at any point, hit that subscribe button, drop a review, and share it with your ride or die. Follow Amanda on Instagram at Amanda Rupley, and catch the unfiltered visuals at Real to the Tea on YouTube and the Gram.